Welcome to Finding Emo, our podcast where we talk about our favorite albums from the early aughts and thereabouts. I'm Blake Fisher. This is Kyle Simmons, and this is Chris Monnier. And today we are talking about, I mean, let's be honest, it's not technically an emo album, but
we say it is.
But here's the thing. Yeah. We never, the podcast title is Finding Emo,
yes,
which is mostly punny.
Yes.
And most of the music we were listening to in the 2000s was certainly in the genres of pop punk and emo and rock and stuff. But my little blurb I just rattled off, I said, we discuss our favorite albums from the early aughts and thereabouts. I don't specify genre in the tag.
That's true.
So today we're doing The Darkness, Permission to Land, because
it's emo.
It freaking rocks.
It does.
And it's from 2003. So it fits most of it. It's not emo at all.
But it's excellent.
And so it's one of our favorites. It's 20 years old now, and The Darkness is doing a 20-year tour of it and stuff. And so we're pumped about it. We really like The Darkness a lot. And Chris picked this one. And so Chris is going to talk, if anything, about any research he found about The Darkness and their debut album.
So I think the most interesting thing I found was that before this album was released in the UK, there wasn't a lot of buzz about this band. Like, they were kind of known for their live shows and being good, but A&R wise, everybody was kind of like, not excited about it. I feel like if I was telling this band about it, this is gold right here. Because just the right amount of time had passed from the Motley Crue era where I was like, somebody could do this again.
I think you're right.
And if they did it tongue in cheek and not serious,
but we're good.
But right, and on top of all that, really good musicians, and they had all that.
If they took the music seriously, but not themselves seriously,
right.
Good combo.
And also, this was a time of, they weren't completely out of left field because, Jet. This was around that time, right?
Oh, that's a good point.
Like throwback bands,
definly
were
it's
kind
always
of a
happening.
thing. Yeah. So.
But here's the other thing that's interesting about, you mentioned they didn't have a lot of buzz and they were playing in England. So wasn't that right around the same time that there was like a big, it was like a cover band in LA, but they played like weekly at Viper Room or something like that, right?
Oh my
and they
God.
did the full out, they would do like the full
Steel
out.
Panther.
Yeah. Is that okay?
Yeah. Yep.
And they do the full out thing. So it's like that was like selling out every week.
Yeah.
And so people clearly had an appetite for some of this rock stuff. But we had swung so far in the 90s to away from that excess.
Right. You wear a t-shirt. You never wear an outfit that isn't just what you woke up in.
Right? It was
you're not allowed.
We went way too far, and we also swung too far, I think, on technicality a little bit. Like we just we're fine with it. No guitar solos all of a sudden. Guitar solos are getting cut out of radio edits and stuff.
Yep.
And so, yeah, it is. I'm almost a little bit maybe disagree with you. I would almost be like, I don't think this would work not because I wouldn't think it was awesome.
Right.
I'd almost be like, I'm worried that no one will put the guitar solo on the radio, or whatever, or something. But they're freaking good. Anyway, go on.
Yeah. So, they kind of had a little buzz going about them. And like you said, there was this kind of underground movement that this music was finding a voice again, but not in a serious way again, in a cheesy way, which is why they were doing so good live shows.
Yeah.
But no one had really thouut about signing them as a recording artist. So they record most of it in their locally in Suffolk. There's not a lot of information about the making of this record,
which generally isn't for a debut record.
Seriously, the biggest paragraph that I found was just that they both played Gibson guitars. The lead singer and the lead singer and the guitar player, brothers, Justin and Dan. And yeah, that's really about it. Now, what do you think the first single off this record was?
I believe it was I Believe in a Thing Called Love.
Incorrect.
Oh, no.
So that song didn't get big for about 9 months.
Whoa.
After they released 2 singles before that. They released Get Your Hands Off My Woman first, and then Growing on Me second.
In the U.S.?
I think in the UK with a little bit of U.S.
I knew Growing on You was a single in the UK, but I don't know if it was in the U.S. I love that song, man.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked just because I consider this album and The Darkness how do I say this? So, there are basses like when you make out with someone.
Oh, right. Yeah.
There is an order, right?
Right.
And I would consider I Believe in a Thing Called Love to be first base before you get to those other two songs.
Yeah.
You know? Like this is foreplay.
Yeah. It's a fun, it's a little more commercially.
We're going to get you there.
Yeah.
But like Get Your Hands Off of My Woman, like imagining that as a single
That's weird.
is weird.
That's
for
weird.
sure.
As the first single.
Yes.
That's a very weird first single.
It's got the MF
That's a
word
bold
in it.
move.
Actually, you know what? I don't
It's
think
got the C word in it.
Actually,
C-bomb.
it does. I don't think it's a bad idea though.
That word
Think
bums
about
me
this.
out so bad.
Rock bands, for the most part, would release a rock single first to rock radio, and then second or third single would be the one that would maybe go to top 40.
That's true.
So I think that's probably the reason why. And plus, England is weird. Like I bet I think that only released in England, and
That's
so
right, yeah.
that would make sense to be like, oh, like that would catch your attention. It's not going to catch fire like I Believe in a Thing Called Love, but even Oasis was like. They're the first single. I mean, I'm just going back because that's a huge British band. But going back
Champagne
to
Supernova.
no, the first one was
Wonderwall.
No.
No.
It was like a.
Was it Don't Look Back in Anger?
No, hold on. Now I'm all freaking confused. But it wasn't Wonderwall. I don't think.
We
Or
were
maybe
rocking.
I thought it was Champagne Supernova because I remember watching the
That's
video.
after
and being like,
Wonderwall.
That's after.
Yeah, it was
it?
one of the. It's one. Of the, I think what Blake was getting. It's one of the more obscure songs off that record.
Right. My point is, you can't release. Well, or like with their second record, they definitely did. They had more of a ballady song, and "Don't Look Back in Anger" would be a good example of like "Don't Look Back in Anger" was the third single I think on "What's the Story, Morning Glory" because it's like and that and Wonderwall. I mean, everything was pretty big.
Dude,
but
again, dude, this is crazy. Again, 3 singles before Wonderwall in the UK. Some might say "Roll with It," "Morning Glory."
Roll with it. That's
Yeah.
the one.
Roll
you're
with
thinking
it.
of.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you know what I mean? Like you release a rock radio thing generally, and you get a little rock. See if it's working, and then you kind of get that fan base to tell other people. So that's a pretty normal thing. But I would say, "Get Your Hands Off My Woman" is still a
bold
pretty
choice.
bold.
We all agree.
It's very bold.
We agree.
Also,
We're gonna get to that when we talk track by track.
do we know anything about them? I guess their popularity in I guess the timeline of the video for "I Believe in a Thing Called Love." Because for me, I distinctly remember I have a good I have got a good feeling. I think I know who these guys are now. You know what I mean? Seeing that video.
Yeah, I mean,
I want to talk about that more.
Let's talk about
he asked
okay.
for first impressions because I've got like a whole story.
Let's talk about first impressions in a second. What else about this record? If you have anything else,
That's
pretty
really
much
about it. I mean, it kind of blows up in the United States, hits 36 on Billboard in the U.S., and they didn't really make a huge investment in touring over here. They played small venues and stuff.
Yeah,
and then they went home.
Yeah,
that's about it. Like they're playing more shows in the U.S. now than they ever did in that era.
Yeah.
I think I've
never seen them. I'd love to.
Well, I think they got really. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
They got really big in the UK. I think they were rock stars over there.
Probably.
Yeah, a little fun, and had to.
I think it was
back
more
and
than that. I think
a
there
little
was
fun.
heroin involved.
Yeah. So
It's a bad idea. Don't do heroin, guys.
and I think he started taking. I think he took himself too seriously, and then now he's like full the other way.
I love watching him talk.
Yeah.
He's an amazing
music.
person.
I love it.
I think he's a spectacular human being, and I think British people are way cooler than American people, and he's like the coolest British person I'm aware of.
Okay, I've got to tell one story before we get into first impressions, because to prove that we like The Darkness a lot, Chris got me
I invested.
for my birthday. He paid for a cameo for Justin Hawkins to sing me Happy Birthday, and it was the best. I mean, I've seen a few of these things. I feel like a lot of them are pretty phoned in.
Part of the reason I did this was because I saw that he was not phoning it in.
No.
Because he did that for everybody. Like
Yeah.
he was bored
out.
and it was during COVID and he
Yep.
was it was longer than I thought it would be.
It was
I was like, all right, Justin, come on, wrap it up,
full
man.
on Happy Birthday, ripping guitar solo.
Are you gonna link it?
I will. I'll put it. I'll probably just like splice it in here, maybe, and put it in there. It's pretty great. I loved it. It was like one of the better gifts I've ever gotten. Both of these guys have been really good about getting me gifts. I feel like a bad gift giver. I need to be better.
Your gift is that you do 95% of the work on this podcast.
That's true, I
It's a
guess.
gift that keeps on giving.
Our presence is your presence.
Thank you. So anyway, love this band. That was one of the best gifts ever. And like, Justin Hawkins is one of my favorite frontmen in a band. And my other favorite thing about The Darkness is if you're a guitarist and you're into gear, I think it's Premier Guitar has the rig rundown show on YouTube where they just like go find someone on tour and they like talk about their rig. Justin Hawkins' rig is literally like one Les Paul. He's got one backup. It's the exact same. So it's like carbon copy Les Paul, right? Awesome. Going into basically a boost into a Marshall. Like that's it. There's no.
He's like, that's the sound.
There are no effects.
Right.
There are no. I think he's just got a boost for some solos. That's it. And I'm sure a tuner maybe, but. The other guy has more stuff, his brother, but and he also described his brother as he's like, I'm pretty good at guitar, but my brother is white hot. That's what in his British accent, of course, which was better than when I say it in my Oklahoma accent. But dude, I mean, it's just I let's talk about first impressions then, because I feel like that's a good thing.
One more thing about just Hawks. If you haven't seen it, the Foo Fighters tribute show in London, and Justin Hawkins and the drummer, who looks just like Taylor. When he's back there, he plays some Queen songs and he's phenomenal.
Yeah,
like,
which does not surprise me. Queen is clearly an influence.
I think they have some Queen's gear
on this band.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, it's because that's well. Let's go to first impression then. Okay, so Chris, you've got a first impression. Let's go first.
My first impression was that the sound guy at Arlene's Grocery in New York City was playing this record as we set up. I don't think you were in the band.
I was not in the time.
Yeah.
No.
So we weren't very good because once Blake got in the band, we got a lot better. So it's Growing on Me, and it's the middle part that with the drum. And I like walk over and I was like, what is this? I said, I've never heard it. It sounds awesome. What is this? He goes, oh man, it's this band, The Darkness. They're so great. And he's like playing me all the songs. And I was like, I have to have this. So me and Danny the next night, we were staying with a friend in New Jersey, and we drive to Blockbuster Music, and we were like, so no, I'm sorry. We called every Blockbuster Music in New Jersey trying to find this record, and one Blockbuster Music had it, and they were like, "But it's our demo copy that people have been listening to. It's a little scratched up." And I was like, "Hold it for me. I'll be right there." And like we drove all the way to like I don't know what New Jersey's are like, New Marksplittingburg.
You definitely had to do one of those jug handle turns, which was annoying.
It wasn't Camden, but it was a different city than we were in, and it took a long time to get there. And we bought the CD and we listened to that thing, I mean, on repeat, 150 times. And it was one of those CDs that you told everybody about. Like every city we got to, we would be like, you need to buy this, you need to buy this, you need to buy this. It's amazing. And
did you have this conversation with the sound guy before or after your set?
Before.
So you probably had good sound that night because he liked you because you took interest in his music he was playing.
I distinctly remember. Okay, so Arlene's Grocery had a.
It's like, I'll turn your mics on.
What's it called? What's it called? Where the kit is all set. You have to play
like
the
a
kit.
like a house kit.
Yeah. We had a house kit, and after the show,
which drummers
that was back
hate.
When we played
Drummers
really,
hate house kits.
But that was when we played really fast. And after the set, he was like, "Dude, you're like really good. You should like record." I was like, "I'm just fast." like put a metronome up, man. You'd be like, nah.
He's like, I'm just now learning how to play to a click. Actually,
well, I could do the Forbidden Beat without a double pedal, and that was my trick. You know, I can't do it anymore. I do it for like 30 seconds, show off, and then I have to go take a nap,
massage your leg.
Always, trick. Get in good with the sound guy. It's never gonna hurt to be like, what is this playing, even if you don't like it, honestly. Yep. But in this case, it turned out pretty well because you ended up. And then my first impression is you told me you have to get this record. Yeah. You were like, you have to get this record.
Run,
it's
don't
so
walk.
Good. Now, I had seen the video. I think by this point, I believe A Thing Called Love might have... No, I don't think it... it had to have been a single. Because I definitely saw that video before you had told me about them. Because I remember seeing the video and kind of being like, is this a commercial? Like, I did not know it was happening. I didn't know if it was
a lot
joke.
to take in the first. Yes, it's like, what is happening?
I didn't know if it was serious. I didn't know if it was like a parody. I really didn't know because on top of the song being this ridiculous throwback to the 80s and his voice and the guitar solos and stuff, the video is bananas, right?
Spaceship.
Yes, it's the spaceship and the big purple thing.
The
and all.
alien that's like giving him a bath.
It's insane, right?
It seems like
insane.
It's like, am I watching a real music video?
But I mean, I remember, it's probably more than any other music video in my life being one that I just like was staring. I remember it was on VH1 and I was literally just going like, what is happening? I literally had no idea. But I mean, I remember I liked it, but I was like, I really don't know what this is. And I think it couldn't have been it had to have been within a week. I mean, I'm probably misremembering some of this because there's no way I wouldn't have checked it out in some way just based on the peak of the interest that happened there.
Yeah.
But like, I know you immediately, or I remember you being emphatically suggesting I get this record. And I was like I said, this is me kind of memory holing this a little bit, I guess. But I think I was like, oh yeah, I think I saw that video. Okay. I did. Okay. So it is a real, I was like, it's a real band.
You're like putting it all together.
It's a real band. And I got it. And same thing. I became a proselytizer too, of just going like, this band is phenomenal. It's really fun, but it's also really great. And it's just, and it was different than anything. Keep in mind, because of our ages, really the excess of the 80s I never was into, because I was like 5 when it ended. Because by like, when does Guns N' Roses come out? Because Guns N' Roses was kind of the like that
late
was
80s.
That's the stake
Guns N'
through the heart.
Roses era kind of ends in
And then
91.
Nirvana,
November
right?
Rain is like the end of the era.
So like I was sick. I was 8 when at the end of Guns N' Roses. So I know like Guns N' Roses was much more of like the rock band when I was a little kid, and then like Nirvana kind of like totally killed it, because at least Guns N' Roses still had some of that excess, but it was like torn T-shirts and stuff. It wasn't the makeup and stuff or whatever.
Oh, that's a good point. They
You know what
weren't
I mean?
glam, but they still had a.
They were a transition. They were like Guns N' Roses was this bridge.
They were characters.
Yeah.
Nirvana was the death of the
Nirvana
solo.
was like the stake through the heart, and maybe Guns N' Roses was the thing kind of. So like the excess of the 80s I never got into, because it just kind of skipped. My dad, all of our parents, I assume, were probably into stuff from the 60s and 70s and less from the 80s, because so I was into Led Zeppelin and Aerosmith and Billy Joel and Elton John and stuff like that from the 70s, because that's what my dad was listening to.
Yep.
So I kind of skipped a lot of the crazy kind of big rock stuff from the 80s, and then this felt like a shot in the arm, and like, why did we get rid of this?
And all the artists that we liked made fun of that era for all the excess glam and drugs and girls, and music was about.
Yeah, it was that was a dress up. Like bands would dress up and be ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like I think everyone loved the music, but it was like a joke. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Motley Crue was like, you look at them, if you grow up in your teens listening to Nirvana and Soundgarden, and then you see like Poison, like with makeup on. Nothing
weird.
against men wearing makeup, but it was like, what?
But it was,
people liked this.
but it was clearly like a lot of it was like, oh, this is what we do. Like, and to be fair,
it was the shtick.
Wearing jeans and a t-shirt is also the same thing.
Yeah.
It's just that it might feel more authentic, because no one obviously teases their hair and puts makeup on to go to the grocery store, like necessarily.
Right.
You know, it's like, or puts on the skin tight. You know, like,
well, you were talking about Steel
outfits.
Panther. The guy had a like. Remember, he had a mirror. The bass player had a mirror, and he'd be like doing his hair in between songs.
It like the t-shirt and jeans was still a shtick. It just took way less effort.
Right? Yeah,
That's a good point.
but it was if you would have worn leather pants in a grunge band, you would have gotten mocked. Absolutely. Just like if you would have been a hair metal band and not had hair.
Yeah.
You would have been in the same situation or whatever.
Remember,
so,
like when Metallica cut their hair for
everyone freaked
gave
out
them
about that.
crap
Yeah,
for that, for Load.
So anyway, it was fun. It was like it was a refreshing shot in the
Had to say
arm, because we hadn't
Name of
had
the album.
because we had
There's blood and jizz on the cover.
I've never. Is that confirmed?
Is that really?
That's confirmed.
Oh,
that's
okay.
what that is.
My
It's not
goodness.
flames.
You heard it here. 80th
Blood and jizz.
from the 90s.
yikes.
Segue.
Segue into.
Sorry, guys.
It was a fun
I
shot. in
said
the arm.
Load.
You did.
It's true. You did.
You started it.
So we end up with this kind of like. I can't think of the last song that came out. Was there a song in the 90s, past 95, that had a guitar solo like is on this record that you can think of?
Oh no, guitar solos were way out.
I'm sorry. My brain stopped. I could have said sperm. I could have.
No.
Why did I say?
It's okay. Just got to edit the crap out of this podcast later.
No one's gonna see this. Shirley, just flip off the camera.
Oh, actually, no. Sorry, I don't have to, because this is one. This is going to have an explicit rating on it. I'm not bleeping stuff out on this one, because you cannot find clips.
Yeah.
That's right. No, that's
Earmuffs, guys.
All right,
sorry.
fine.
Yeah, if your kids
Jizz.
are listening.
Earmuff warning.
There it is
Sorry,
again.
it's going to happen. So yeah,
I can't think of one. I mean, when did Black Hole Sun come out? But
That's 90s, but I mean-
wait, but there's a
And still different, because that's more
that's
like
not a guitar solo.
That's
right?
exactly right. That's like
like a Weezer style thing.
or like a vibe or a tone. You know what I mean? It's not someone shredding. You're just like
Right.
they're taking you somewhere.
Yeah, there was no. I don't think there was
November
any
Rain
shredding.
has a guitar solo.
on top of a piano.
Great one.
Right. But that's like early
The church
90s.
they built.
Like I
for-
said,
Can you
we're
imagine that they built that church for that video.
I didn't know
That's
that.
the kind of budget they had.
that's amazing.
Wow.
I did not know that. But yeah,
Wow.
that was
Helicopter.
back when you'd spend $1 million shooting a movie video, like, or music video, like, easy.
I
Like,
think they got their money back on that one.
oh, I guarantee they did. Yeah. Have you seen the thing recently with that shot of him playing, but it's like the overdub is someone playing the guitar without plugging into an amp, and like what it would have really
The
sounded
shreds?
like then, and it's just like
Shreds videos.
flash.
I've seen
never
the
get
Shreds
old.
one. Oh man, they're great.
That Creed one. Oh my god.
the Shreds videos are great.
Santana one's my favorite.
I don't think I've seen the Santana one.
Gosh, dude. There's just so much percussion going on. He's got like five percussionists.
Oh, I can't wait. We'll have to. I'm gonna have to splice that in here too. I
We
guess.
could do a snack just on our favorite Shreds videos from 2000 to now.
We should. We probably should. Okay, so where were we? Okay, let's.
My first
yeah.
impression.
Okay, first impression, Kyle. Sorry.
Mine is an extension of yours because my mind doesn't remember how we were getting information from one another back then, but I know that Chris was super into them. And because of that, I was like, okay, I'm going to check this out. So I don't know if he posted on MySpace while you guys were traveling,
It might have been.
or if Blake told me, and dude, you got to check this out. But I knew that you loved them, and I also was so confused because I also saw the video, and I remember being like,
questions.
yeah, like, is this real? You
Yeah.
know, like obviously it sounds real. I can hear it. You have to remember this predates, like, I don't know how many people that listen to this podcast. Surely they know who DeAntword is, but like it predates people taking on this a persona and committing to it heavily.
Yep. So it was confusing.
It was confusing. It was like, is this a joke? Like, is this the Emperor's New Clothes? Is Chris trying to get me to say I also like the darkness so he can be like, oh, you're an idiot. They're not even real.
oh god. I would never do that.
I know, but like,
I'm not that smart.
it's
that's 3D chess there.
it's the experience of hearing them
yeah.
and then the video. Like, you're right. Like, just like, what
it's a great
what is
video.
happening? And I'll never forget it because
No,
of
me
it.
neither.
But like, I just didn't know if I was being set up, and I enjoyed it, and also I didn't understand it.
It was so far out there for what had been. It's so hard to explain if you're young.
Yeah.
You just have to know that for 10 years, it's just been drilled in our head that music was dirty,
Tough.
raunchy, tough, smells like Teen Spirit.
Yep.
You know,
Or
and then
sad.
all of a sudden, this video of a guy kicking a door down and playing a guitar solo in a spaceship, and you're like,
Yeah.
I'm not
And-
allowed to like this.
And
I'm not supposed to.
For rock. And
yeah,
like,
yeah.
we had-
I know rap was definitely, yeah.
and
rap pop.
announcing the guitar solo.
The first
good.
time I heard that, I was like,
What?
he said guitar before the guitar. Not only that, but there's 3 guitar solos in that song.
Yes.
He said it.
And
He's calling his shots.
and he's freaking white hot on that last one. I mean, it's
Oh, that last guitar solo is one of the best guitar solos in music.
it's so good.
and
And
that's our first record. And
Yeah.
it's Justin, right?
no, I think the last one is
Dan. Okay.
Yeah, is his.
But
brother.
Justin plays.
Justin's on the middle one, I think. I forget. But anyway, they're both great guitarists. But yeah, his brother is definitely like.
I can't believe you haven't seen him live.
No, I've not. That's why I want to go see this 20-year tour. It's because
dude.
like I've got to figure out how to make that work. I think we might have to
gonna
make a
go.
trip to Denver.
So
I'll go to the Rocky Mountains.
I
Yeah.
know that this sounds
John
weird,
Denver's
but I
full of
think
shit.
he is. R.I.P.
Aw.
He's a dead liar.
John Denver roasted.
wow.
So I think that the video, I think that them looking exactly like what I thought they would look like somehow made it more confusing to
It
me.
did.
Like,
Long hair, like a unitard.
Well, but here's what's weird. It felt like, keep in mind, 2003. We've just dealt like if on the produced side of things, what we've been dealing with is boy bands.
Yeah.
And it felt like, did someone manufacture this,
Right.
or is this authentic? Does that make sense?
Oh,
Yeah.
you're absolutely right.
Part of me was going, is this
this real?
someone like joking with us.
Totally.
Like it almost felt like the Blink-182, All the Small Things video, like making fun of that.
Yeah.
Like, and so that's why I literally could not figure out
Same.
what was happening. But once I listened to the record, I was like, okay, like I get that, like these guys are doing this thing. But I also then had lots of questions of like, have they been doing this since the 80s?
Right.
I don't know.
That was actually a thought I had. Like, are these like 40-year-old men that are just like, we made it?
Also,
I'm 40.
dude,
I don't sound like that.
I totally had that same thought. Like,
Yeah.
how old are these guys? But also, to be fair to our first impressions, Blake,
Yeah.
Steel Panther.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's so easy to make a mockery of this genre, and you know what I mean. Like, it's just easy to make a joke of it. So it's like, is this a joke? Because also,
But it kind of was.
It kind of was.
That's what made it so interesting.
But that's still better than it being a full blown joke. Because in 2003, I'm taking music seriously. You know what I mean?
exactly.
Like,
Yeah.
So how much of a joke is this?
And that's what's so weird about The Darkness is it is just like a little bit of a joke.
Yep.
But it's not a full joke.
Yep.
Like I said, they take the music they make seriously, but it doesn't seem like they take themselves or all that stuff that goes along with it. It's like they're having fun with it.
Yeah.
I think like genuinely.
But
it
nothing
seems.
like that had ever happened to me that
Right.
I could recognize. And there's so many layers to it. Okay, they're really good. They're not bad. They dress the part. Their songs are really good.
Yeah.
They sing about stuff that's kind of funny,
Yep.
but like they do it well.
Yeah, like,
You know, like-
there's some really funny lines, but not like in a
Slapstick.
joke band, not like Bare Naked Ladies.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
You know what
How
I mean?
dare you?
I'm just saying, like that's a good example of someone that was just like, come on, guys.
Well, okay, so I'm gonna date us a little bit. The best example that I have, Weird Al, and I was not into Weird Al. Now he was doing it to all the genres, right?
Right.
He wasn't just picking one genre, but I was like, no. And now as an adult, I'm like, you know what? He's really good.
Do you know what's crazy about Weird Al? Who would have thought that guy would have a career for decades?
He's a legend.
He's been doing it forever, and people keep going like, this isn't gonna last, and he just keeps
Still going.
doing
Keep
it.
on
and,
trucking.
And have you ever heard a bad thing about him? Have you ever heard anyone say something bad about Weird Al?
No.
Never.
Never.
Everyone seems to love him.
Freaking Daniel Radcliffe just played him in a movie.
Well, even there was a story about somebody
Harry Potter.
not wanting him to do his song, right?
Yeah.
And it turned out it was just a label. Like when the actual artist found out Weird Al wanted to do his song, he's like, "Oh my god, yes."
Yeah.
What was it? Because
Coolio claimed for a while that he did it against his wishes, but then it came out that that
First of all,
wasn't true.
Coolio, Stevie Wonder called, and he's the only person getting the songwriting credit anyway, because it's not your song.
Oh, is that a Stevie Wonder song?
Yes.
In the background?
Yeah.
But
Sampled.
even so, like, yes, Coolio claimed for a while that he didn't.
That's
and
what
then-
it was.
And Weird Al was like, no, I totally asked him permission, and he was like,
Like in
"That's
the
cool."
sweetest
also,
way.
Also, Weird Al didn't have to ask permission.
That's what's crazy about Weird Al. I know we just got on a Weird Al thing, but Weird Al, like you can cover a song and parody it, and you do not have to pay the royalties on it.
right.
He always splits them with the songwriters anyway.
It's integrity.
What?
Yes.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Why
He
don't
doesn't
you have to ask?
It's fair use.
Parody.
Same reason we can play these clips, parody or
Yeah.
or if you're commenting on it.
That's
but
like
it's
the first
parody.
Guitar Hero. They had artists replay the song.
That's different.
Oh, sorry.
That's because they couldn't get the. Okay, this
Masters.
is some weird.
But
yeah.
that's a version of what you're talking about.
Yeah, so that happens where you dupe it. That's happened where like someone wants to get the Rolling Stones song for a movie soundtrack. They don't want to do it, and so they just re-record it literally that sounds the exact same.
Well, it's Taylor Swift.
Taylor
It's
Swift is
Taylor's
doing it right
version.
now.
Oh.
With her Taylor version.
She's
Yeah,
doing
that's a
it,
good
yeah.
example.
Okay.
She
God bless her.
Yeah.
Oh, she needs money.
She's just recreating those because she was like, you
She
know what?
broke.
Label, screw you. So anyway, now that gets a little dicey if you're trying to like do an exact copy of something because you couldn't get permissions to put in
Yeah.
your movie. That might be
Yeah.
on the
Especially if
side
it's
of-
like Blackbird by the Beatles.
right.
Yeah.
Well, no, like literally there was this example of the Rolling Stones and they got someone to come in and sound just like Mick Jagger
Right.
and they played it and recorded. I mean, it sounded the exact same and it was like they got sued, but I mean, they couldn't technically, that what they did was totally legal.
Right.
It's
Yep.
just, but it's kind of in a shady gray area.
Right.
But anyway, this felt like it could be something like Weird Al-ish
Yep.
in the sense that it was like,
And at
are
the
they
time, I
toying
was
with us?
not having Weird Al. I was like, no,
Yeah.
he's a joke. He doesn't take music seriously.
But he
And
does.
he does.
You
He did.
You had to come around.
I'm sorry,
to Weird
Al.
Okay, is that enough about first
can call me
impression?
out.
Should we talk about? Should we just go into track by track?
I
now?
think so.
I think we probably should.
We have been rambling.
We really have. Okay, let's
It's all
go.
good stuff.
You know what? I should have the track list up in front of me because
Black Shuck.
I didn't do that. Black Shuck. Here we go. I kind of had to pick the end of the first song just because it's so ridiculous to end your first track like that, right? I mean, like it's live.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, with the what's it called, garbage can? No, he didn't technically do a garbage can. That's
Yeah, that's the opening. But he does that. He opens another
that's
song
right.
like that.
That's right.
He does open a song like that. The next one, I think. Yeah. So, I mean, speaking of first impressions, then, so when you finally listen to the record and this song comes on, are you like, what are you thinking, Kyle?
Okay, so full disclosure, I did not know until recently that he wasn't saying black shirt.
Oh.
Like the dog was tearing up his black shirt.
Well, he's British and
It's a
he's
hold me
screaming.
closer, Tony
Can't understand
Danza
it at all.
kind of.
I could hear it,
Like
yeah.
I always thought he was singing about a black shirt, and I just assumed the dog "Don't Give a F" was tearing it up his black shirt.
It is about a dog.
I mean, that.
Did you know that?
That. No.
Yeah, the song's about like some urban legend of a dog, and
So I'm half right.
you had
half right.
the spirit of the song
half-
down. You just couldn't
So I
understand the
got
chorus.
it.
Yeah.
Well, it rips.
It does. It rips.
Dang. Does it ever?
It's insane. That's my notes.
Chris, I mean, after you found the CD because Growing on Me is track 3, so I assume that's where you peaked and asked the sound guy. So then, like, you get the CD at Blockbuster Music and put this, because the opening of this track's great too. Great.
When I first put this record in the CD player of the van, all I've heard is "Growing on Me" and probably just the middle of it.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Are you?" Because "Growing on Me" is like level 2 of like
And it's like a pop song. It's
right?
kind of a pop
This I was like, "Oh my god, they freaking went for it, dude! Like they are all in."
Yeah.
Because there was a part of me that wondered if "Growing on Me" was like a one-off 80s tribute song.
Right.
I had no idea what I was getting into.
right.
Like this is before.
There was no way for you to research it too. That's the other
No, that's
thing.
what I'm
Like,
saying. Putting the CD in the first time
Yeah.
is like literally my second impression of this band. And like me and Danny, like I remember we were sitting in the parking lot because the other guys didn't want anything to do with this band. It was just me and Danny, and we looked at each other. and We were like,
Fools.
"Oh my! Like what just happened? It's the first song. We've got 11 more."
The opening of this became one of about 4 songs that we sound check guitars with all the time. Danny played the opening riff of this, or we did Back in Black. I mean, there were a handful of songs that we did all the time, and this was one of them, the intro.
Yeah.
And you'd come in on the cymbals. I mean, it was great.
The intro of the song is fantastic. Oh man, yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't decide between the intro and the outro. I picked the outro just because I thought it was
you did
kind of
good.
ridiculous that they embraced the like, let's play the live.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
like
and the
we're-
cursing too, because I didn't know I was getting into it. And like the cursing was hilarious. Like he's just going for it, you know. Like you don't usually drop unless you're Blink-182, you don't drop that kind of language.
well, and
Because
even
back then it got you the little
Yeah,
thing on the
that's what I was
CD,
gonna
and
say.
sometimes that you couldn't like
Yeah.
Target wouldn't sell them, I don't think, or
well,
Walmart
even,
wouldn't.
Even
Someone-
then, I felt like Blink-182 cheated. They kind of did it in their stage presence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Mostly.
yes, they have. Yeah, I guess.
Take off your pants jacket.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
that one
you're
had a
absolutely
bunch.
right. Before that,
It's
yeah.
like they weren't gonna throw it in every song.
But I
Right.
promise you that was because the label was pressuring them
Totally.
not to, because
Yeah.
it does hurt sales. It did. It,
Well, yeah,
like,
I remember my dad calling me. He's like, "Did you get that new Blink-182?" Because there was an article about the Oklahoma about how much swearing it had in it, and I was like, "Yeah, there's a lot
there's
in
a
here,
lot,
man.
yeah.
It's hilarious."
They did. They did save it for a few songs.
Right? It's not
Yeah.
in. There's not a lot of cursing in rock show.
First
or
Date.
First date. Yeah, they
There
knew what
you
they were
go.
doing.
Again,
Yeah.
they know exactly what they're doing, guys. They're not idiots.
But when they intro First Date, they're talking about
Yeah.
moms and dads, and
yeah,
sexual
that was
relations.
that's a song.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on Black Shuck before we move on to track 2, which is? Do you have the tracks up? Will you just tell me what the track
Get
names
your
are?
hands off my woman.
All right, here we go. Get your hands off my woman.
What's a pain? 'Cause success
forgot to unmute. See, this is new toys. I'm not very good at this yet. We've all felt like this, right? We've all wanted to write this song.
Yeah, I relate.
Kyle, what are your thoughts on it?
It's awesome. This one is insane to me because he does drop the C bomb, and also
I did not know to tell.
That last part before that chorus.
So like something interesting about The Darkness is I feel like I could listen to this around my parents and they wouldn't pick up on the cuss words.
No, because you can't understand
the
them.
way he's singing it. But like, what does he start the song with? Like, I'm in Latin lover mode, Latino lover mode, or something like that.
I forget.
Hold on,
Pull it up.
in Latino lover mode. We all know what's on your agenda.
I had no idea what he was saying until this last week when I was looking at the lyrics. Honestly,
how
20
can
years.
like if you read the lyric? Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna read. The first verse.
Story
of this,
time.
Okay. And again, what we're hearing in the falsetto voice.
Oh, right.
And the music that's happening, but he's totally serious. You are drunk and you are surly in Latino lover mode. We all know what's on your agenda. We've broken the code. I have got no right to lay claim to her frame. She's not my possession. You C word.
you can't even say it out loud.
And then get your hands off of my woman.
I think that's more of a British. Like, I think they say it more than we do.
They don't say fanny. If
Yeah.
we, you know, like if that to them, they cringe at that. But like,
Right. And Aussies too. I think that works.
It's insane. Like this song is ridiculous.
Oh, it absolutely is. I'm trying to. Yeah, I mean, it's freaking great. Chris, what are your thoughts on it?
I mean, again, I'm still just like, okay, they are all in on this. He sings the whole verse basically in his head voice. Like it's all up
He's
there.
in head voice on 80% of this record, I think.
But on Growing on Me, like, and Believe in a Thing Called Love, that's kind of a trick. Whereas like I was like, I can't believe he's doing like whole verses,
Right?
You know. And then the song was just so ridiculous and hilarious, and the ending is motherfucker, like it just does it again. I was like, this is so cool. All I could think by this song is like, I have to see these guys live. Like,
Yeah.
I have to.
I've got to do it at some point this year. It's gonna happen.
Yeah,
Dude, yeah.
it is gonna happen.
I mean, it's like a whole thing for them to get over here.
All right,
They're British.
Let's go to Growing on Me since we've talked about some.
I wanna shake you up, it just won't go up. Then you're over me, but I don't want anyone to know that you're attached to me. That's how you grow. Won't you leave me alone? You're really growing on me. You're really growing on me. I can't see you.
The aforementioned bridge guitar part. Yeah, I mean that hooked me too a little bit.
That's one of my favorite moments in rock and roll.
It's really
Period.
good. It's really good.
Period.
It's very good. I love it. Originally, the song, he disputed that it was about pubic lice. But
I dispute that. Have you read your own lyrics?
but has since admitted that it is about genital warts. So
Oh, we just had the wrong STD.
we had the wrong
Oh,
STD.
okay.
But
How
good to
dare
know.
you insinuate it's about?
I did not look up the difference because I didn't want to Google that.
I think
Yeah,
they're
it's
both
not a
terrible
safe
from what
Google.
I've heard.
No, it's not a safe Google. I mean, this is a great freaking song, and I love it. And it's like three tracks in. Again, I'm just going like, I cannot believe this is happening. Is that like when I'm listening to this for the first time in my pretty sure I had the old Mercedes at the time. That's my recollection.
I can smell that car.
And I think I even remember being on. I think I remember
Leather.
putting it in and being on the like 39th to Hefner Parkway. Like I think I remember where I was listening to this record for the first time and being like, "What is happening?" And I either bought it or you had played it for me. I can't remember. That's the part I can't remember exactly. But a great track. Kyle, any thoughts on Growing on Me?
I mean, the pubic lice thing is pretty amazing. Honestly,
good to know.
I'm kind of having a weird experience right now because I can't believe we're doing this record. I'm glad we are, but also like I felt the same. I have that same feeling of when I was listening to it. Like, is this really happening?
Yeah.
Because I thought this song initially was about a boner.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You know, can we say boner?
You can say anything on this one.
We can say
Okay,
whatever
yeah,
we want.
boner.
Yeah.
It's already
Boner.
red flagged.
Oh yeah, we said
It's red
jizz
flag.
earlier.
Yeah, you've said some terrible things
Yeah,
already.
I've
so.
said some things.
Earmuffs.
I've said some things I regret. Yeah, I thought the song was about getting a boner. But then that background vocal, or am I growing on you?
Right. That's
So
where like that's the
awesome.
trick. Yeah.
And so like in real time, I'm kind of processing the pubic lice thing. Like I get that,
Makes sense.
and then the genital warts.
It's even worse.
Yeah, that is worse.
I don't think you want either one.
Don't
but
go. Well, I would. You said you didn't want to Google it.
I
I
do
would.
not.
I would prefer to Google pubic lice.
I don't. Yeah, but I mean, it's because you can't see him probably.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like microscopic.
I don't
But
wanna
like
see it.
we all come from a time where they showed us videos in high school of why you don't want to get an STD, and that involved some horrific genital warts.
Yeah,
So
Yeah, I now know that I do not.
I don't want to get them.
I don't want them.
be disappointing.
Yeah.
Don't want them. Any other thoughts on Growing on Me?
Oh, it's a good song.
Okay.
I feel I'm just like always the sweet innocent guy. I just thought he like liked a girl and she was growing on him.
I will say this:
emotionally.
I almost never pay attention to lyrics, but
Yeah.
for some reason this one caught me, and I think it was the same thing. It was the "Or am I growing on you?" 'Cause
Danny
I was like,
told
"Wait a
me.
minute, what are we talking about?"
it's about herpes. Like, oh yeah.
Yet another
right.
wrong
Bummer.
STD.
Yeah.
It is a feel good song though.
It is a feel good song.
Well, it's the what stood out to me is like how they kind of released these little tricks throughout the record. Like, hey, we've got all these tricks, and then the Queen style background vocals
Yeah.
on the chorus. I was like, that sounds incredible.
okay,
yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up because there's heavy Queen influence
Oh, yeah.
on this band, which is
Yeah.
like great. But most people, I think I've only heard a couple bands ever that I was like, oh, these guys are influenced by Queen because Queen is such an epic band.
They're so good.
You have to really freaking own that.
Yep.
Well, it's not.
Now that trick with the guitar and the snare, that's an obvious like
Well,
Def
yeah.
Leppard thing,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
they did it better.
Yeah.
Darkness did it better, I think. Photograph's a great song. But
Photograph is a fantastic song. Okay, let's go to track 4, which is the not first single, but at least the big one that we all noticed. I believe in a thing called love.
Touching me, touching you, God, you're touching me.
so high.
I believe in a thing called love. Just listen to the rhythm of my heart. With a chance we can make it now. When I look into the sun goes down. I believe in a thing called love.
White Hot.
Some heat.
That is a great. So
I
many
got
good
goosebumps. Look at these hairs sticking
I
out.
know, look at that.
I've
Look
heard
at
this
that.
song
Those are
like maybe a
genuine.
million times. That's real.
Great example of what we feel when we hear these guitar solos. Chris, thoughts on the song in general?
I mean, I had no, just like you guys, I had no words. I mean, it's catchy. It's a great song. It's got 3 guitar solos. The video's hilarious. They pull out all their tricks. They got the background vocals, the falsetto. Song's so great.
Some guys I
Some
went to
songs
high
are so good that you have less notes.
Yeah.
You know, it's almost like, what
Yeah.
can I say?
Some guys I went to high school with a couple years younger than me did this for like the senior assembly thing, and they did it pretty well. They had a guy that could play guitar pretty well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess it's not that hard of a song if you take out the guitar solo.
Well, the singing is also very hard.
It's incredibly hard.
But
Yeah.
they actually did pretty good.
Yeah.
I was proud of them for going.
Did he
We're
do-
going to
did he
play. I believe in a
falsetto?
thing. Yeah.
Okay.
We're going to do. I believe in a thing called Love and like own it for the senior whatever the assembly
he
thing.
didn't too cool it.
No. They like. I mean, they didn't wear wigs or anything. I would have liked to see some.
Well, I
wigs.
just mean, like, I'm gonna sing it lower.
Oh,
No.
I believe in a thing called love.
No, he went for it. He's now like a doctor.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, it's a great song. I think you're right, Chris. It's kind of like it's a great song, great video. And Kyle, do you have any additional notes?
So even though there are things about this song that I think are funny, like kind of gimmicky, it is just an awesome freaking love song.
It is
what I
a great
mean?
love
Like,
song.
It is just a great song. I'm gonna say something. Maybe it doesn't match the tone of of songs that we've awarded this before, but I think this is a mixtape must.
Oh yeah.
I could give you that. Yeah.
Like it makes you feel young and in love. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And honestly, that as much as that solo is white hot, I think just one of my favorite riffs of all time is the
Yeah, it's really good.
Like just freaking awesome.
With
We
that,
I meant to ask you guys on the last song, are they playing to a click on this record? Because some of it feels pretty loose.
I mean, I guarantee they're playing most of the tracking live.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean they're not on a click. I bet they're on a click.
there's some loose stuff. Not on this song. I was thinking of the song before. There's some looseness. I don't mind it, but like
But maybe not.
could you play to a click but not 100%? Maybe that's what
sure,
it is. Like
yeah,
like a flashing
this is the
light or a
guide.
metronome.
You treat it as a guide,
Yeah.
but not like the
That's a great question. I wonder.
But I love this song. Like still, and also, this is I sound like a dork, but like I can show my kids this song,
Yeah.
and they'll love it.
Yeah,
you know
it's a
what I
good
mean?
song.
Like it's just a great,
Just
freaking
maybe
love song.
not the previous tracks.
No,
Some
no.
further tracks. But this one's clean. It's a good one.
Or maybe you could. They probably wouldn't understand it.
That's true.
That's true. You really can't
That's true.
understand. My kids, my 3-year-old's favorite songs right now are from the 1975. A similar situation.
Right.
Can't understand what he's saying because he's British. He's also 3, but he I. You know, I'm in love with you. I. He requested all the time. Okay, let's go to track 5, which is "Love Is Only a Feeling."
Love is only a feeling, drifting away, and we gotta stop ourselves believing. 'Cause love is only a feeling, anyway.
Kyle, what are your thoughts on "Love Is Only a Feeling"?
So I remember listening to this record, and I think at this point I was convinced that they weren't joking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's kind of more of a serious song. It rocks.
Yeah.
I think it's super funny to follow. I believe in a thing called love with "Love Is Only a Feeling." I love
Yeah.
that choice.
Yeah.
I think it's really funny to be like, I believe in a thing called love, and then the very next song is like, it's only a
Love is only a
feeling.
feeling.
Like it's like he got his heart broken in between
Yeah.
tracks 4 and 5.
Right.
Is this a concept album?
I don't think so, but like I think that's
Called
funny.
Permission to Land.
Like I think that is
Oh, it's hilarious.
really great, and this is also just a good ballad.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's thing. This is our last
Staple
single
of the 80s.
Yeah, yeah. It's a great ballad, and God, I can't help but think that like he's got this kind of hilarious tongue-in-cheek song style that he's adopted, but the themes of the songs I think are genuine and real.
Right.
Like
I
it
think they
sounds
are,
like
yeah.
he's like having an emotional moment. Like it's
Yeah.
very the lyrics are genuine.
It's great that he sang "Love Is Only a Feeling" after the song. You're right, but even like the next song, like it's like, oh no, he's kind of joking again. Like just so confused and also enjoying it.
Right.
I think here's how I read it. I think he's being genuine, but he has a sense of humor
Yeah.
about just the way he writes seems to be like, I mean, I think he really probably felt this way about love. And I think he also felt the way he felt about love in the other one, but he writes lyrics in a way that it's like, again, not taking himself too seriously. It's like, this is how I really feel.
Irreverent.
But there's funny stuff in all of this, no matter what. Because like Growing on Me thing is even funny in the sense that
definitely.
like, wouldn't it be funny to write a song about this? I mean, I don't even know if it was a personal thing or not, but I mean, it's a funny way to do it in the sense that it's not like a joke song. It's not like freaking, who was that other band from the late 90s that had Bloodhound Gang? God, man, I hated Bloodhound Gang. Hated it because it was
Frat
like
Boy special.
how funny, like we're gonna just be obnoxious and funny, and it was like it was all about shtick, and there was nothing real there at all. But like this is real and funny. I think that's a hard thing to. That's a hard
Also-
line to walk.
I'm glad you brought up Bloodhound Gang because
I'm not
Because-
now I remember them.
we're talking 2003, and jokes I think were a little more mean back then. Like the Bloodhound Gang, their content was like kind of cringe. Yes,
It was cringy.
To quote the YouTubers.
Even then, but like you listen to it now and it's like, oh my gosh,
so bad.
People thought that this was funny and acceptable, and this is a joke, but also like exactly like you said, anybody could listen to "Growing on Me" and be like, oh, what a nice,
Right.
That's what, yeah.
what a nice
It's
song.
under
Yes,
Precisely.
You have to really kind of think about it
That's
a little
right.
bit more. It's not right on the nose. It's like a little bit subtle, especially because sometimes we can't understand what he's saying because he's British and singing really high and screaming and stuff. And it's mostly the British accent thing. I think is mostly the reason we Americans have trouble.
well,
Yeah,
subtlety,
they got the guitars playing.
subtlety was not a thing. I feel like you know what I mean. Like
yes,
like this song, like Bloodhound Gang. This song is about
subtle.
having sex.
but that's
This
another
song
layer
is
of
about-
what made it so confusing.
Yeah,
Was we hadn't been
Totally.
we didn't have the mental capacity to digest.
Wait, what?
The subtle nuances of like, wait, he can be clever without being like, this song's about boners. Like, it's just like, is it? Is it not?
Right. And plus, that's a better way to do it anyway because people then talk about it.
Yep.
People get to
Right.
make their own interpretation. People ask you about it. You get, oh, that's not what it's about. And,
Right.
the classic Beatles with Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds denied it for 40-something
Totally.
years.
Yeah.
Not about LSD.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it was. It was total. We were totally on drugs.
fine.
But people are asking about it for forever. So yeah, I mean, I love the irony of the two things happening. These backing up to each other. Trying to get the next clip ready so I don't mess it up. Which let's go to it. Let's go to
Giving Up.
Giving Up.
Getting off my face, there's a dragon on my trace, honey, I'm the scourge of all mankind. And everyone but me is destined just to be slaves to the remorseless grind. But I found myself an easy way out, stuck on that fucking shit, into my arms, into my arms.
I'm not trying to laugh out loud at Justin's heroin problem at the time, but it is kind of a funny song about being a heroin addict. I'm glad he's not anymore because that caused some turmoil, I know, in the band.
It never doesn't.
It
does
never doesn't.
That when has heroin just been accepted? Band, it's his thing, man. We just let it
Never.
be.
That's what he does. Yeah, that's cool. It's fine. It doesn't totally ruin
Doesn't
everything.
affect his personality. Or anything.
It's a fun, bouncy song though. Like I've never heard such a bouncy, happy song about doing hardcore drugs, other than maybe "Semi-Charmed Life" by Third Eye Blind.
Yeah, there you go.
That's right.
That's the other one.
That's right.
That one is also like that. Chris, thoughts on?
Yeah, no, you said it best. I mean, the song kind of feels like a song where you wrap around your arm with your best friend and like having a good time. It's all bouncy. Ding, ding, ding. But yeah, then you kind of dive into the content and you're like, oh, it's about the worst drug known to man.
Yeah, you don't want to do heroin, guys. It kills people. Kyle, what are your thoughts on it?
I mean, exactly the same. Like, happiest song ever about sticking a needle in your arm.
I love it. Let's go to
Not heroin.
No.
He's a fan of the song.
Oh yeah, to clarify.
Yeah.
Sorry, to clarify,
This podcast is anti-heroin.
Well, Chris, there's a video feed for this one. I think they can clearly see that I'm not into heroin.
Oh, right.
Yeah, we're not. None of us like heroin.
Yeah.
We're all not into it. Okay, let's go to.
I'm a little too healthy for that.
Oh, by the way, there's another great solo on this one. I could not. Finding 30-second clips for this
No, I know, you're
record was
better
hard
man than
because I was like, well, I can't just do all guitar solos. That would be ridiculous.
I mean, you could.
I could, but I feel like it's not giving Justin his vocal chops or lyrics due. So I tried to find, maybe we can get a little vocals, get a little guitar solo. Could not get the guitar solo and the vocals on this one. Don't touch me again.
I am so sorry.
It's a little tight in here.
We're all
guys.
squeezed
it's a small
in.
office.
And we had to turn the air conditioner off.
Well, I think it's back on now, but you can
I'm
probably hear it in the
fine.
background.
I'm fine.
Okay,
We're not outside in the humidity. It's so humid.
But the solo on this one also awesome. Honestly, if you've not listened to this record because you just heard "I Believe in Anything Called Love" and just wrote it off as a joke, you really should. I hope these clips are helping you, or maybe, I guess if you're listening to it, you're at
We've
least
gotten that feedback
interested.
before.
Yeah, totally.
That
Yeah.
we like.
I went and checked it out.
yeah.
You should absolutely check it out, and some of their other records are great too.
Play
So,
it for your mom and dad. They'll love it too.
Yeah,
they're
they
a fan
love
of
it.
like rock and roll.
See if they like.
My
okay,
dad loved this record.
Let's go to track 7, "Stuck in a Rut."
When I
I feel like this is a good time to have Kyle look up some of the lyrics of this because I literally had no idea. Other than "Stuck in a Rut for Eternity," I didn't have a one clue what he was saying in this song until the other day when I was looking at him. There's a lot of lyrics going on in this verse.
Yeah, just give us a little
Give us like a
sampling.
taste. Just a taste.
British accent, please.
Oh no.
Thespian.
Stuck in a rut for eternity. Ow. Stuck in a rut for eternity.
No, get to the stuff that we don't know what he's saying.
Okay.
Yeah, get to something.
All right,
we,
hold on.
like, those verses.
Well, we can start at the beginning.
Yeah.
Oh, kiss my ass goodbye. Propelled by a carriage of aluminum am I. No more rot in this sty. Turn my back on this shithole in the blink of an eye. Ow. Give me the keys. You ain't gonna see me for dust. The Barnby Bends ain't gonna get the better of me. Give me the keys to any old bucket of rust.
I did look up what the Barnaby Bends are. It's like being drunk in
The
British.
Ackle Straits are gonna take me to where I want to be. Then Stuck in a Rut.
Anyway, he's just rattling this stuff off at 1,000 miles an hour.
Those are the rantings of a madman.
Is it car stuff?
I think he's trying to get the keys, but he's wasted to drive home. I think literally that's what the song's
And I
about. when you read
imagine
the
if
lyrics.
Justin was trying to talk you into letting him drive home if he's drunk, that's exactly what it would sound like.
Yeah.
Just like at
Give
the
me the
pub.
keys. Yeah.
The keys have no blah, blah, blah. What? Dude, you're wasted.
Absolutely. Well, the combination of booze and heroin.
Yeah.
It's not a good combination. You don't want to do that. It's a fun song, though. It freaking rocks, even though I have no idea what he was saying until I looked at the lyrics. So I like it. Chris, do you have any thoughts on Stuck in a Rut?
What always occurred to me on this song was like how exhausting it sounds to be any one of the musicians doing any one of the things. I mean, the aside from the drummer, they're just like going at it. Like that's a tough guitar riff, and he's singing a million miles an hour and playing that guitar riff live.
Yep.
I've never heard him play this live. They will have to, aren't they? Doing the whole record.
They're going to do the whole record. We have to go see the show.
You guys have to play this song at this speed. The Darkness.
If you're watching this,
Yeah, I imagine they are.
I imagine they probably are. They probably watch every podcast about them.
I doubt it.
Okay, let's go to track 8.
Do they have podcasts in England?
Oh, well, he's got one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's got one.
Yeah.
So,
Which is great.
I don't know if this timeline is right.
Okay,
but
let's
it
hear
just made me think of it because it's another thing. It's another thing that made me question: like, is this a full-on joke? The Bee Gees skits on SNL. Because
Was that at the same time?
It was.
Okay. You looked it
October
up.
11th, 2003 is the first time that they did the skit together, Justin Timberlake. And so it's like, it's around the same time. And like this song is a perfect example of that. Like he's just kind of like,
Head voice.
yes.
Okay.
And it's like, is this real?
I appreciate it. As a guy that can't sing falsetto very well at all, my head voice is terrible.
Yeah.
I hate it. I wish I had a good one because so many of my favorite bands have these like amazing, the darkness, and then go to like the pretty side of like Copeland or I'm trying to think of other ones.
Well,
now
Third
that
Eye
I'm
Blind does it.
Third Eye
You
Blind
mentioned-
does. Yeah,
you-
Stephen Jenkins does it great.
Yes.
Yes, he's got a great head voice, and I just never have had a good one, and I've always wanted one because it just your range of the notes that you can write.
It's
into your
like
songs.
it's like a fedora hat.
It's
if you either
confidence.
pull it off or
That
you
is
don't, and if you don't, my God, it's awful.
Don't do it.
If you don't think you look good in a fedora, you're not wearing one. You know what I mean?
Don't do it.
You just can't do it.
Fedora and head voices, and yeah, that's kind of those are pretty good analogies. Okay, let's go to Friday Night, track 8.
I see the lady angel dancing on the dancing floor, dancing on a Friday night. Come the way she moves me to write bad poetry, dancing on a Friday
Oh man, I can't even pick my favorite Darkness guitar solo.
Yeah.
I'm just like I cannot because that one. Oh my gosh, I love it. Kyle, what are your thoughts on Friday Night?
This is a song that I did not know was awesome as it is.
Yeah.
Like, this will make a special list later. Spoilers, but like, what a freaking great song! And again, it's this roller coaster of like, maybe this isn't a joke because this is just a great
This is a
song.
fantastic song.
Great song. Yeah. What is it? I got to look this up. The outro.
I love
God, the way she moves me to write bad poetry.
I love that. That's a great line, though, isn't it?
It is good.
That's
yeah.
a perfect
love that
Justin
line.
line.
Yeah.
'Cause
I
it's-
love that line.
He is aware of himself in such an amazing way.
Yeah.
I love that line. I love this song. It's one of my all-time favorite songs.
Great song.
Like, period. It's on.
It's shocking to me that this wasn't a single.
I agree.
I think it would have been huge in the UK.
I think it would have been
because
huge.
it's got
I think it
the
would have
kind
been
of like
huge here.
it's almost got like a '60s vibe
Yeah.
to it. It's
That
cool.
I totally ripped off that bouncy thing for my song Midnight.
Oh, nice! I never heard that before.
Well, just like
I've heard the song. I've heard his music.
It's
I'm
not
saying
that
I
great.
never heard the connection.
But it's like it's got that bounce to it. I love the lyrics are fantastic. Even like I love the verses and like how every chorus has a different set of things they're doing on
Yeah.
the days of the week,
Like that
ping
dancing on a
pong,
Friday
dancing.
night.
I love the dance. I just love it. There's nothing about this song, and the solos are fantastic. They're like it makes me feel things.
Was this too much cheese to be serious on?
Now,
No.
I think when I first listened to this record, I think they kind of lost me for a second.
Yeah.
Old
not
Chris
me.
is no right. I'm just
Yeah.
saying in the moment,
I
I
get
was
it.
like, whoa.
Yeah.
All right, I don't know if I can do this. This
I've
is a
always
lot of
been
cheese.
sappier than
yeah,
you.
yeah,
though.
yeah, yeah.
Like I've always been a sucker for the power ballads. I've always
Yeah.
been a sucker for.
You know what I'm talking about.
I totally.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Because I don't remember
It's a
listening
21-year-old.
to this one.
yeah.
I don't remember this one.
Yeah.
Oh, see, I did. I mean, this was one of them that was a standout immediately for me, and I loved the whole thing. But like this one was like the background. I mean,
You're
it is
more
like
mature.
I don't think it's that. I think I've always been
He knew
a sucker
thyself.
for pop. I've just always been a really sucker for like a sappy pop song.
Well, like the last week or so, it was like listening to it. I'm just like, this should have been a single. This is a great song.
It's really, really good. And I that lyric that you mentioned is one of my favorites because I think it like kind of it just there are certain lyrics that people have that makes me go like that I identify with as a musician and a songwriter where I go like yes, I know how that feels.
Yeah.
Like trying to get down in words.
Yeah.
The thing I'm
Yeah,
feeling right now,
totally.
but I can't really. And he kind of like wrote that part into words.
The
and I love
vibe
it.
of this one is just a little different though. Like
is.
musically,
Oh,
like
absolutely. It's definitely different.
It's like, would we classify this as yacht rock? Maybe like almost there.
Not
Like is
quite.
it Hall & Oates esque?
No, I don't think it's because it still freaking rocks. I mean, the
I
solo,
could
the
see
guitars
it
are.
touching on that
Yeah.
though. Yeah.
No,
yeah.
there's a Hall & Oates, especially early Hall & Oates.
Yeah.
Like,
But if
you
you
know.
think about like a Poppy or Doobie Brothers song, this almost and
It could be
Doobie
there.
Brothers is yacht rock, right?
Yeah.
I think that's probably pretty. Maybe that's fair. So maybe you're not too far off.
Michael McDonald definitely uses the old head voice. We know
They
that.
definitely,
we know
they
that.
definitely not overproduced. They produced this song more than any other song on the record.
Yeah.
As far as like the background vocals
Yeah.
are stacked, and I just love it. I love when he goes from the head voice into the full voice
Yeah.
thing too. On the way he wrote the way the notes work on the choruses of this, especially on that line about poetry. Because he's in the head voice for the line about the woman, and then by the time he gets to poetry, he's in his normal voice. And
Right.
It's like all
Yeah.
the power of it's there. Like it's like the way it emotionally feels perfect too.
Dude, you said Michael McDonald. That's the song that's the vibe that I'm getting. What is his big song?
What a fool believes.
Yes.
It's a great one.
There are major What a Fool to Believe.
You're right.
songs-
Okay, that's fair.
vibes on this
You're
song.
totally right.
So.
It definitely has What a Fool Believes
Yeah.
vibes. Which I love that song. That's another great song that I
There's a
like.
legend that Jamie from Let Go and the Stereo does that song perfect on karaoke, but he refuses to do it.
Why would you? Why?
He does
I
it
need
perfectly,
to see this.
but he won't.
Yeah, that's why. It's a
Man,
legend.
why did we never? Did we ever karaoke with them?
No.
We should have.
Yeah.
They would have been a real blast to.
Did you
do
guys
karaoke.
Buffalo Wild Wing karaoke night ever?
Oh my God, what is that?
No.
I know what those two things are separately,
in the-
but they're together.
Yeah, back in
What
the
is
day,
this wizardry?
Back in the day, you'd show up. I think it was Thursday,
Oh my God.
and it was karaoke.
I had no idea.
Yeah,
I've
never heard of this in my
frequent
entire
Buffalo
life.
Wild
Yeah,
Wings. Have
yeah,
I
I'm
just
a fan.
never
I
been
don't
there?
think they do it anymore. But like back in the day, like when we were traveling, it was happening.
They should bring that back.
Here's the best way to do karaoke.
I'm gonna.
You don't plan it.
I'm looking this
It
up on
has
the
to be
fly.
impromptu.
Yeah.
You have to literally be with
you can't
friends and
plan
go,
it,
hey, you know what we should do? Let's go find a karaoke bar. And you go do it. And that's the best way to do karaoke. Every time that's happened, I've had the time of my life.
Laughing, crying. Yeah, but you can't be like, hey, you guys want to do karaoke Thursday night? Mm-mm.
No, that does not work. You literally have to that day go,
gotta be on the
let's
fly.
go do karaoke. And it's fun.
Now, there was one time in New York. Were you there?
It was Sundays.
Oh, sorry.
Kyle never left the moment. He had to know.
I had to
We're
know.
like talking about like something. Yeah.
Sorry, go
No,
ahead.
no, I love that.
New York. No, I don't think
they
I
have
did
those
care.
rooms.
Oh yeah,
I don't like that.
I don't like that
Okay,
either.
Yeah.
No. Crowd.
Yeah, it's
I want
gotta
a
be
crowd.
a crowd. I want someone to be.
I want
disgusted.
Nancy's, which closed.
Yeah.
I want where were we in Missouri? We were in Springfield one time and impromptu after a show went and did karaoke, and that was so much fun. You and
Well,
Danny
Happy
did.
Endings were there.
Yeah, you and Danny did "Love Lifts Us Up Where We Belong," and no one in the bar knew how the verses went. Literally, the lyrics are there, and we're all like, "Does anyone know how the
We're gonna
verses?"
sing along.
But everyone knows that chorus. You know, that's a great duet. But you and Danny did both the girl and the guy parts, and it was great. Karaoke's fun. But anyway, that's all that to say. I don't even remember how we got on karaoke. Buffalo Wild
Guys,
Wings. Why did?
there is nothing consistent. If you search Buffalo Wild Wings in karaoke, there is a poster for Monday night, Tuesday night, maybe it was every night.
Dude.
How did I miss this?
that
Was I?
sounds
I guess I
legendary.
wasn't eating Buffalo Wild Wings that much back then.
Well, I mean, it's kind of pricey.
It's kind of pricey.
Yeah,
I was
Back in the day,
eating
like,
Wendy's
that was a
dollar
rare
menu.
treat. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why.
Like, no lie, Steve
why.
and I would get a double cheeseburger at McDonald's, and we would take turns who would eat the buns as a grilled cheese and the meat. When we were real broke.
That's rough.
Yeah, that is rough.
We had a
Wendy's
Fight
dollar
over
menu.
pickles.
we had a trick that we never did because I just thought stealing was wrong. But we had this
Right.
whole idea.
I think you're correct about
of
that.
how to get double McDonald's that I thought was brilliant. So
Oh yes.
have I said this before?
No, it was a part of this. We
Oh, we did it.
Yeah, we did it.
So the idea is
No. This is different.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I
So-
think.
Yeah. So the idea is you have someone hide in the bushes.
No, same.
Oh, this is the same.
Yeah,
Okay.
Cool. Well, they haven't heard it.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
So yeah,
Dang.
you have someone hide in the bushes, and you order like a lot of food, like $20 worth of food, and the person in the bushes runs right as the food gets handed off and steals the food and just runs off into the parking lot.
Yep.
And you're like, oh my god, who was that? And you just act completely befuddled.
They stole
They
my
stole the
McDonald's.
food.
You need a thespian like
yeah.
Chris
You gotta sell
that
it.
won state
That's
at a
gotta be the
drama
driver.
competition
Yeah.
as the driver because a lesser actor
what do we
would not
do?
sell it.
Right.
Yeah.
So then McDonald's has to replace the food, and you get double food.
So I love.
We never
this.
tried it.
I love this idea. I'm too honest to pull it
I'm
off.
too
No,
honest
no,
too.
no,
I've
no,
never
no.
stolen.
What?
I can't do it.
The other one that I always daydreamt about was like these places with counter service that'll just call a name
Oh yeah.
and just stand there and like wait for the big bag, like watch them make it, and they're like, Jim? I'm like, I'm Jim.
Hello.
Just grab it, walk out, you're gone.
Well, they now have a security guy at Chipotle, I think, for that reason.
No kidding.
Because they just have that shelf with all the DoorDash orders and stuff.
They're not
and
playing
there's
around.
just a guy sitting in a chair over by the Coke machine.
Wow.
I guess.
Does he make you show ID? I mean,
No, I think it's more like people were just coming in and grab. I don't know what exactly the process
No,
is. I just know there's a security guy at Chipotle on Expressway now.
DoorDash and stuff like that, that makes sense now.
Yeah.
You know, like, because I think a lot of places have like you said Chipotle, I'm gonna say Qdoba, because they've got like a whole different section.
right.
Don't bring that nonsense in here.
Dude, I love
Chipotle
Qdoba.
is better than Qdoba.
I'm not gonna argue which one's better.
Okay.
They're different.
They are different, but the only way in Qdoba being superior is their queso's better.
And
that's
it's
it.
free.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I know, but that's it.
I mean, free queso.
I know, but every
How
time
did
someone,
Chipotle mess up queso so bad? I was like, you guys really screwed
it's
this
because
up.
you really need to use some fake stuff, and they won't do it.
it's that's what I'm saying.
That's the difference.
I
know.
actually have a theory that they don't want to make good queso.
Then why make it?
They're just trying to They're trying to force health on you. You don't want cheese. You don't want to eat that.
I love
I don't
cheese.
think of Chipotle. As
I would be more sad.
It is healthy though.
I guess you're.
There's no hormones in their meat.
Right.
It's like all farm raised.
Yeah, but I eat a burrito the size of my
oh
head.
sure, the size of a baby.
I get diarrhea. Like,
Your body does not respond. as if
something's
it's
not
healthy.
going right.
All right, let's
Sorry, let's bring this back.
bring this back to the darkness. Now that we got off on karaoke and stealing McDonald's, and
Chipotle is no joke. Either,
okay, it's not. It's not. Okay,
All right.
Track 9, "Love on the Rocks" with no ice. By the way. I promise you, they were having fun recording that.
That's all I can think when I hear this song.
Dude.
That one was for them.
Absolutely, it was.
I mean, it sounds great.
It sounds
but they are
fantastic.
just jamming.
Jamin, thoughts on it, Kyle?
I mean, I think this is one that I would love to just watch a
Yes.
click to and then watch them live because, like, I think that they're just vibing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure it's in time, but also, like, it just feels right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think, I don't know. I'm gonna assume they're not, click doctors. On
Well,
this one.
even if they're on a click, I assume they're playing a lot of the rhythm stuff live.
Yep.
Like together.
Yep.
Like I don't think this is a thing where it's like, okay, drummer, you come play your part,
Right.
and then bass player, and then guitarist. I think you did overdubs and stuff, obviously, but I'm gonna guess they like track live because when you're a good live band like this, you can play like this. It's more fun. You get that feeling
feel,
that you
yeah.
don't get when you try to like robotically be perfect, and it's just a
So-
live band feels right.
The tone on this one, and I mean the general tone, like the guitar tone and the tone of his voice and all this, like it's kind of weird, but is this song tough, guys?
I think it's tough. Yeah,
I think it is.
I think it's tough.
Completely agree.
I totally agree. I think it's tough.
I give it my tough guy stamp of approval.
Oh, wait, I'm going to go back.
this song's tough.
I forgot to say something. I think Friday Night is the mixtape must because I've put it on about every playlist I've ever made.
You're right. I'll allow it. I need to. I stand corrected.
Not corrected,
No,
just
you're
like
right.
slightly different opinion. Chris, any thoughts on Low on the Rocks?
Nah, it just sounds like they're having a blast jamming.
Great title too. Also really funny. Love on the
yes,
Rocks.
That was actually my other note.
With
was
no
just
ice.
With no ice kicker,
It's really funny.
and that he sings it.
Right. He sings the. Yeah, I love it. It's really fantastic. Okay, let's go to track 10, Holding My Own. Good kind of ballady final track.
Yeah,
I kind of love that drum thing I had to put in there because
No,
I
you
felt like
nailed
that
it,
was also
yeah.
an 80s like gratuitous thing, like 2 full bars of a drum intro
Yeah.
into that last chorus. I just freaking love it.
It's definitely got 90s Guitar Center video monitor vibes.
Oh yeah.
Those videos that were always playing.
I like it. It's a good ending track.
Yeah.
10-track record. It feels complete. We've got ballads. We've got kind of poppy stuff. We've got
Well, I think-
freaking
and this
guitar
one's kind of
solos coming out of our eyes.
This is like the most serious. This feels like the most serious song. Of the
It
record.
does.
Definitely.
It feels.
Yeah.
Everything feels genuine, but this one's just like, okay, we get serious just for.
Yeah, it
this
doesn't
song.
feel like there's anything jokey in this one.
Well, and okay, I have no. I know nothing about the history of the Darkness.
I don't know
Is-
much.
You know as much as me.
Is
They're brothers.
I
What you guys?
assume that like I'm sure there was still drug use like while this was going on.
There
right?
definitely was.
But like this song seems like a we made it kind of thing, right?
Oh yeah.
Well, it could have been because I mean, they got signed, I would assume, and stuff.
Right.
And maybe that's like, oh, cool.
I would love to know if this was written after that. You know what I mean? Like in the studio.
It's a good question.
Because it feels like exactly like you just said, there's nothing kind of jokey about this one.
Yeah.
Like, no, we're the real deal. We've made it, and like look, he's holding his own.
I'm holding my own.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, it feels triumphant in a way. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like in a ballady way, which is kind of weird
Totally.
too. I like it. I think it's a good ending track. I think that between Black Shuck starting us off and this track ending it, it's kind of like really great bookends. Like
Yeah.
we talk about first and last tracks a lot, and I feel like they did it really well.
Yeah.
On this one. No track order I would change on this one. There's really not anything I would change on this record, honestly. I love it. Let's actually talk about the kind of final impression kind of stuff. Okay, so Desert Island songs. Or sorry, I forgot. We do
Whoa.
lasting impressions
Yeah.
first. Sorry. Notes are backwards. Does it hold up? I mean, I think it's pretty a stupid question.
Yeah, spectacularly.
We
Yep.
love it. And it's especially weird because it holds up because it's a throwback to the 80s. So
Right.
it's like
Double
something that
throwback.
came out in 2003, throwing
Double.
back to 20 years before that. And then we're 20 years past that. So you're really talking about, and I really will say like 80s in general were something I crapped on a lot when I was more like high school, more like 90s and stuff. I didn't like a lot of the overproduction. I still don't like some of the overproduction. They wanted everything to be perfect to the detriment of feeling sometimes.
Sure.
Like drum machines and sampling and keyboards and stuff that like didn't feel real. But I can now I appreciate the songwriting a lot more from the 80s than I did when I was a kid, because I really like, you had some of the best, like Toto were literally studio musicians that
yeah.
played on Thriller.
Yeah.
Those guys recorded Thriller, and then they were like, by the way, let's just like write some freaking killer pop songs. And and I don't think I appreciated that, the level of musicianship that you had. You could not be, like, frankly, like, let's just be honest, you could not be any one of us and be in a successful band in the 80s, because none of us are that good at our instruments.
No, that was, yes, the gift
None
of
of-
grunge. And Joe Strummer was like, hey, you don't have to be that.
You don't have to
good.
be perfect, and like you don't have to like spend all of your nights at home practicing guitar to. But like in the 80s, you did. I mean, those
Right.
like those guys were all phenomenal musicians.
Right.
Like even you look at like all the stuff that like Tommy Lee plays on a bunch of stuff since Motley Crue and
Yeah.
stuff, like he's a good freaking drummer.
Right, he's more than that. But Vince Neil is not a good singer.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's
so-
the same band.
yeah.
You mentioned it a bunch at the beginning, but like Nirvana is the response to that, right? Like,
Yes.
first of all, we're not a hair band,
Right.
And also we're not perfect.
Right.
They were in rebellion to
Yeah.
that perfection.
I mean, in fact, I read a thing one time about Kurt Cobain being upset that in the studio, it wasn't working, him switching from his clean tones to his distortion. It was just like, we got to reset. Like, it's different EQ. It's different. Like, we'd like to use a different amp and stuff. And he was not happy that he couldn't like just do it live like that. Like,
Yeah.
cause he felt like it was more genuine and stuff. And they were like, I promise you, it's not overdubs. It's like, we're going to have you do the clean part separate because we need to put a different mic in front of it or whatever the situation was. And I think, even like Billy Joe Armstrong is like a perfectionist about that kind of thing. He wants it, but like he wants it to be as live as possible.
Yeah,
I
right.
think it, and Billy Joe Armstrong is an example of someone that is in that genre and a phenomenal musician. Actually,
gosh.
I mean, like everyone
And
I've ever
songwriter.
heard is like he just is a robot on rhythm guitar. Like he can one take it, but. You know, he couldn't shred like like that's not his style. He's a
not what he
great
does.
rhythm guitarist. It's not what he does.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was not a thing in the 80s. So I appreciate it a lot more now because the musicianship level was ridiculous in the 80s. And these guys kind of like clicked that for me in the sense that like most of the bands I was listening to are good musicians. Like Jimmy Eat World. I love Jimmy Eat World. They're one of my favorite bands ever. None of them can play the guitar or anything like the guys in the darkness do, and that's fine. I don't need that in everything. It would get overwhelming if it was all the time.
Yeah.
You know, but I love it. The excess of the 80s was probably too much because it was everyone was doing that, and it was all this, and plus all the visual stuff was a little bit like on top of the musicians is a little too much maybe.
Allow me to take this just out of control,
Please.
guys. I would say that stuff never resonated with me because it felt kind of joyless to me.
Oh, absolutely.
I think that's fair.
And that is what I do love about this record.
Right.
Like they're having fun with this thing that you weren't supposed to joke about.
Don't you think that's because in the 80s when it was the serious thing is like they were like, look how ridiculous this is, but no one
tough.
but they were
Yeah.
like being very like
Right.
we're very serious about this, but we're
Right.
in tights and we have our hair crimped and
Well, we look
Doesn't make
ridiculous,
sense.
but we're tough, and also we're like it's kind of funny because I'm trying to think of the nice way to say it. You know, we're doing all of these roadies probably.
Oh, yeah.
oh yeah.
and,
No,
and,
it was
then,
very
and then you've got the darkness talking about their genital warts.
Right.
Right.
Like that's funny.
Right.
Yeah, the real side of the.
Right.
Yeah, okay, that's or like
More raw and generate.
But like
yeah.
that music to me, even now when I watch, no one freak out. I'm not saying Guns N' Roses isn't good, but it seems joyless to me. There's nothing fun about it. And maybe it just didn't resonate with me. But for me, the music of the 80s that resonated was like Tears for Fears. Not, and also, you could probably make an argument that not a lot of joy in that either. But
Oh God, no. They look really sad.
Well, I'm trying to think of the. Yeah, I mean, we could probably do a
Everybody's singing
whole
it.
it was super sad.
probably do a whole 80s episode. I mean,
Dire Straits always look like they were having a fun time.
I'm trying to think of who
my favorite
who was
80s
having
bands
fun.
were mostly holdovers from the 70s.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people that evolved, like Tom Petty. So like Tom Petty is one of my favorite 80s guys, but it's because he kind of like shape shifted, not in a big way, but just like
Evolved a little.
evolved into the 80s and into the 90s and into the 2000s.
it was still Tom Petty. It was
It's
just like
always
with
Tom
little-
Petty. It was never inauthentic, but I liked a lot of singers. Billy Joel.
That's what I was going to say.
only
Look at-
80s Joel.
Look at only
Sunglasses
80s
Joel. Yeah.
Look
No,
at,
I like it all.
Look at An Innocent Man, right? What a weird record.
Yeah.
And lots of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Freaking easy money. I mean,
Yeah.
kind of weird.
It is kind of weird, but it's because he was throwing back to doo-wop stuff.
Yeah, you're right.
That's what really
Well, you
is
know what else
interesting.
comes to my mind is Genesis. Like they were
Yep.
super like
Yes.
artistic and
Yep.
serious, and then in the early '90s they were like, "Hey,
I can't dance.
But think about this though. Don't you think that was a? We're really getting off on a tangent. But the 80s, that to me is a Phil Collins versus Peter Gabriel.
Yes.
difference.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Peter Gabriel obviously is our Tom DeLonge.
But
Yeah.
the rest of the band was still in the band, and they were like, "Oh, we could just have fun. This is hilarious."
Yeah.
yeah.
I think Phil Collins is a little, even though he's a great musician and stuff, was like a little bit more fun.
Yeah.
You don't do the Tarzan soundtrack unless you're willing to be like, this is gonna be fun.
He's got it.
Right?
He's got to be fun.
You'll be in my heart.
Oh,
What
I
a,
like.
what a devastating
What's
song.
the 30 Rock? Do you like Phil Collins? Do I have 2 ears and a heart? Don't I?
Oh, Alec Baldwin.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so is it their best album?
You know, I am only vaguely familiar with the rest of their work. I've listened to it. I enjoy it. But for me, yes, this one, you can't touch it. I think Blake will disagree. Let's see if I'm right.
Oh man, it's really tough for me. I love their 2012 album Hotcakes. It is
So with the girls on the cover?
yes, it's got
really
the
good.
pancake syrup.
Yeah.
It is really, really, really good.
My son calls that waffle sauce, by the way.
Waffle sauce.
I know, I was like, dude, that's hilarious.
Love that. Okay, so I really the follow up was less good, but I think it's because he was like. I think the heroin problem was a problem.
Oh, the train one.
for the train one.
One
yeah.
Way Ticket
that's
to Hell.
not- well, that
Yeah.
song's great. The song's great.
Yeah, the album's okay though.
It's just-
it's
yeah.
not, but like
They got some famous producer to do it, I think.
So that happens in 2005. They kind of break up after that, I
Yeah.
think, and then they come back for 2012 Hotcakes, which I'm always so sad because I love that record and I think more people should know about it. You guys should definitely listen to it because it's really fantastic as well.
Okay.
It's at least as good as this record.
Oh, yeah, it's good.
It's hard for me to pick though because this is kind of like falling in love with the band. It's kind of hard
Yeah.
to not say that's their best album, but I think that Hotcakes is at least on par with this one. Kyle, I don't know if are you in the same boat as him?
I
Okay.
know nothing about the rest
Okay.
of their.
Yeah.
Well, I really do strongly suggest you guys listen to Hotcakes.
No, I have a few. There's a song off that record that I think is
It has.
hilarious.
There's a song on it that has,
it?
I think, what is my favorite guitar solo, maybe ever. Not just from The Darkness, but it might be my favorite guitar solo. So I never learned to play guitar well enough to play guitar solo, so I just have to listen to other people's.
on Apple Music. Why can't you? Why are you looking?
I think the important album thing is obvious because it was their giant thing. I mean, their other ones didn't really sell as well, but I wish more people liked this band.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
so it looks like they're releasing a 20th anniversary edition. I don't know if that means re-recording.
Vinyl. I need vinyl.
With a woman.
Oh,
With a woman off.
That's
Hotcakes.
great.
That song-
So is,
I love it.
So is
Sorry, Kyle, I didn't mean to
no,
ruin
it's okay. I
Fridays.
it looks like it's
Oh,
got
no,
Friday,
Sundays, Mondays.
Sundays.
She's Just a Girl, Eddie is another
Yeah.
phenomenal song on that record. Yeah, so I think this is obviously their important one. Okay, let's go to Desert Island songs. 2 or 3 of your favorites, Kyle.
Okay, so mine's probably going to be boring.
That's okay.
I'm going to go with I Believe in a Thing Called Love, Growing on Me, and Friday Night.
I think that's totally fair. Chris, do you have 2 or 3?
It's I can't. Growing on Me, obviously, like I said, that bridge is one of my favorite moments in rock and roll. Period. Full stop. And then Black Shuck, just because I just will never forget.
Yeah.
After being kind of introduced to them through that one song and hearing that song,
The
and just be like,
reintroduction.
this is everything.
It's so much fun.
This is everything.
Okay, so you got Growing on Me, Black Shuck, and what
I
else?
believe a thing called love. I mean,
Yeah.
but love is only a feeling. It would be like a honorable mention.
We're all together on Growing on Me. I've got that
Okay.
on mine too. One of my all-time favorite. I've got Givin Up
Oh.
and Friday Night.
Okay. Some overlap.
There's some overlap there. Yeah, Friday Night. It is one of my favorite songs.
Well, we always say the
Like
best
ever.
albums, like
We
song
don't
for
agree.
song,
Yeah.
we don't agree because there's so many good songs. It's hard to pick.
We don't. What about Nobody's Perfect? Is there a worse song on this album?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think I have one.
No,
I mean, I think it's darn near perfect.
I think the last song, the ballad, is the most. What's this one? I can't think of the right word. It's like the most off brand of the rest of the album.
Yeah.
Because it almost actually sounds like an 80s ballad.
Yeah.
But it's still really good.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't kick it off.
I would not.
It's just.
and it almost oh gosh, what's the word I'm looking for? It almost kind of validates them as a band. You know what I
There you
mean?
go.
Like,
Yeah.
like we're serious. Oh, I keep thinking they're a joke. And also, I just said I haven't listened to anything since this record, but clearly the shtick, like, they're not a one trick pony or one album. It's not a one album thing. Like,
Right.
they carry that into every record. It looks like.
Yeah, I think it's a great record. I wouldn't kick anything off. What about Growing on a Shower? Chris,
Friday-
do you have one? Oh, you, Kyle.
If I jumped into it Friday night,
Friday Night. I mean, I can't believe that didn't hit you because you're a pop guy. Like, you write great pop songs.
it just didn't. I did not know how good that song was.
Okay. It's just really funny to me because I would have thought
You know what though?
you'd be attracted to it.
I think you're right, but I think I was caught up in the video of I Believe in a Thing Called Love,
Yeah.
and the hype of that, and it's still great, but like it overshadowed. I can't believe Friday Night wasn't a single.
I'm with you. I always felt that way. I was like, they should release this song. In fact, I just thought they would maybe because I was like, this is
They're
such a
still
freaking
considering
good song.
it.
Yeah.
There's
might
still
do it.
time. The
They
Darkness.
could for the 20th anniversary. They could release it.
Release
It'd
it.
be great.
Release
I don't know
a
if that's
single.
how that works.
Release it on a Friday
Chris,
night.
do you have a Growing on a Shower?
Trick answer.
Okay.
Christmas time. It's only on the German
Okay.
release.
Yep.
And I call it Growing on a Shower because it's not actually on the album, so I didn't hear about it till after. It is one of my favorite Christmas songs.
It's a good Christmas song.
It is
Wow,
so
dude.
magical.
It's fun.
Deep
Yes.
cut.
It's hilarious.
It's fun.
and
never
it's
heard it.
really
It's good.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
good. Don't let the bells in. I would say the closest thing to a Growing on a Shower is probably Love on the Rocks and No Ice, just because it is the band having fun.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't grab my ear the
Yeah.
way some of the other stuff does. But once I put myself in like, man, this would be fun to be on stage playing, so I think, but it's not like I didn't like it. It's just like I have grown to appreciate it more the older I've gotten. That's it for us. Thanks for listening to us talk about The Darkness, not an emo band, but really, honestly, one of my favorites. And you got to check out this album. Check out Hotcakes too. Check out their other stuff too. I could be wrong about
whole catalog.
the whole catalog, but Hotcakes is definitely great. This is a great album, and they're great musicians, and they're going on tour. They're doing the 20th anniversary of this album, and they're playing the whole thing. And so we've got to go.
And me and Blake might be in Denver.
We
You
might
live
be.
there.
If you live in Denver,
Come give us a
that's
high
where we're
five and give us some money.
Considering flying to go see them in Denver. So hit us up. That's it for us. We will catch you next time.